This presentation is a summary of the book I Ching and Neuroscience, which is written in Korean. Mother of the Universe. There is only one real object here. It's the picture of a baby. But we can see a couple of different images reflected on water droplets. All of them are somewhat different from each other. This is the basic concept of the Hwaomgyong, Avatamsaka Sutra. Moon's reflection on thousand rivers is the design by Hwaomgyong, Avatamsaka Sutra. The title of this work of art is Samra Mansang, and it means all creation. You can see the Maha Bhairojana, Birojana Bull, in the center of the art. He's not Gautama Buddha. He's the universal Buddha, and he represents absolute reality. I think it's conceivable to regard him as a god, if it is convenient to you. The matching of the Hwaomgyong, Avatamsaka Sutra, and I Ching can be the perfect tool for understanding the universe, because all creation is the byproduct of the cyclic oscillation between reality and phenomenon. Reality and phenomenon. All creation can be considered as a kind of hologram of the absolute reality. We can understand this model as a cloud computing model. The cosmic intelligence is the principle that creates cyclic oscillation between reality and phenomenon. Our brains are mirrors or water droplets that reflect the cosmic intelligence. In this viewpoint, we can think that our brains are not standalone devices, but terminals in which cosmic intelligence is embedded. Symmetry. In theoretical physics, the symmetry issue is very important. I think it gives a fundamental insight to understand I Ching. However, our universe has a symmetry between particle and antiparticle. Our universe can exist because there are more particles than antiparticles. Higgs mechanism can explain spontaneous symmetry breaking from here to here. Magnet loses its magnetism when heated because their atoms lose asymmetry with thermal energy. The same principle applies to the Uchi, the reality. Therefore, Uchi turns into Taichi spontaneously. Taichi is a symmetry broken state to one side. But if it rotates, symmetry can be conserved by the integration of a symmetry. It's a reason why there are rhythms in our universe. Four seasons would be a great example. Pantha means everything flows. The purpose is to conserve symmetry. This is our universe made up of particles. We can imagine there might be another universe made up of antiparticles, and it would be a counterpart of our universe. This is a reasonable model to solve the symmetry problem, but we cannot prove it. In biology, we can see the example of the multiverse model. It's a mesodome. It renders left-right symmetry. Also, the brain has the same design. The stages of symmetry are summarized. From the left-right symmetry of the mesodome design, we can regard 10 digits of two hands as a standard to accomplish all possibilities. We call it 10 uchi, and it's a design of the panopticon. Then 5 digits in one hand is a half of the 10 uchi, and we call it 5 hwangchi. 5 hwangchi can be regarded as an entry-level version of the Ten Uchi. Symmetry in mind. This is Carl Gustav Jung's model of the mind. I'd like to dwell on it. Like structures of human body, mind differentiates and develops. I think it's all about symmetry. When symmetry breaks down, the cutting plane serves as a password code for later complementary bonding. Anima and animus can be an example for complementary bonding. When a boy first realizes his sexual identity, the symmetry between man and woman in his mind breaks down. Man's personality is heading for outer world, and his anima is heading for inner world. Because they are separated from each other, the man wants to find the counterpart at the outer world. But in essence, it's not possible. The perfect complementary bonding can be achieved only in his own inner world. This principle applies not only to sexual drive, but also to all kinds of needs and desires. Synchronously, cause must meet the condition of temporal precedence. But in the synchronicity model, we cannot find such temporal precedence. The embassy design can explain the synchronicity. This woman supports her team at the neutral seat of the other team. It's like an embassy. It is located in other nation's territory but represents our nation. Like this example, the tissues which share common embryonic origin can render same response simultaneously to a common stimulus. I think I Ching and neuroscience can be a prequel of the selfish gene. The Selfish Gene is a book written by Richard Dawkins. The main idea is that the body is just a survival machine for its selfish genes. The brain is also a device to control body in faster ways instead of slow responsive genes. F. Andromeda is a novel which is introduced in the Selfish Gene. Andromeda A was located too far from the Earth to communicate with simultaneously. So Andromeda A people sent messages in packages to build up a computer at the Earth. And actually its purpose was to conquer the Earth in the novel. Andromeda A people are genes and the computer is a brain. In the Selfish Genes, it follows the idea that structure defines function. Structure, function. But we have some different perspective. Function is embedded in structure. Structure is selected by evolution. Function mediates evolutionary selection. They have a circular relationship. The circular relationship among function, structure, and evolution can be seen in the logic model in I Ching and neuroscience. First, cosmic intelligence creates genes to evolve. It's a natural result of spontaneous symmetry breaking. It's a very mechanism that Jiro Uchi differentiates to 64 Gua. And the reflection of the Mahabharata, universal Buddha, make all creation. Second, genes make brain as a result of the evolutionary process. Third, cosmic intelligence can be embedded in brain. It's the reason why human nature is called the order of heaven. But human brain cannot afford to embed whole cosmic intelligence, especially in the early stage of its life cycle. So only its sprouts. Only its sprouts were embedded. On the contrary, a different perspective was suggested that appetite for food and sex is innate human nature. It is not deniable because all animals share that nature. The bottom line is that Andromeda A people are not genes, but cosmic intelligence. Genes are also a device to evolve, and the purpose of genes can be brain, because brain is the only device for cosmic intelligence to function on. When Sun Emperor transmitted Tao to Yu Emperor, he said as follows: as a human mind is treacherous, and Tao mind is very subtle, deeply reflected on one, honestly grasp the center. Tao mind is four sprouts, and it can be differentiated and developed to the symmetry of 10 uchi. Human mind is the appetite for food and sex, and it can be restored to the symmetry of 0 uchi. Please note that four sprouts and the appetite for food and sex are kinds of affection, including feeling, emotion, need, desire, etc. They are interactions between the limbic system and other systems. When the limbic system interacts with the cerebral cortex, it can arise four sprouts. When limbic system interacts with the brainstem, it can arise the appetite for food and sex. We can gain a deeper understanding about the designs of life and mind on top of the cosmic model of Hwaomgyong, Avatamsaka Sutra, and the symmetry principle of I Ching. Also, it can give us the insight on the future of the human mankind. Thank you for listening.